Welcome back to Pros and Brits. My name's Lawrence.
And I'm Natalie.
And we have been here before, and we have done a video on this.
Paddleboarding.
Paddleboarding, kayaking, but things are going on today, and we have a lot of facts because this place is the coolest place in Florida. And did you know, Natalie, before we get into it, one quick fact.
Okay.
Disney almost killed this place.
Disney.
Really makes me wonder.
So for those of you who don't know, we RV all the way during summer, and then we have a home base here in Florida. And one of our favourite places to go, we go every year, every winter when we're back at our home base, is Silver Springs State Park.
Yes.
Because it is fantastic. And like I said earlier, did you know, Natalie? This Silver Springs was like the hub of Florida. Like not only for trade, but for movies, and there was a theme park there and everything.
Yes, you did tell me.
I find it fascinating, and it's such a cool place. So the first time that Silver Springs really became popular was actually in 1820s, after Florida was included as part of the states, and it was a tourist destination. People would just go there. And then anyway, by the 1850s it had become a commercial distribution centre. So loads of trade went up and down here, which is crazy when you think we're doing a glass bottom boat tour. And it was a massive trade place, but after the American Civil War, loads of tourists started coming here.
Right, okay.
And you can see why. And then in the 1870s, a couple of guys, this is the best bit, they got a rowing boat and they put a sheet of glass on it.
Yes.
And they invented the glass bottom boat.
Oh.
Now I don't know if they were the first people to do it, but certainly that's a cool idea.
That is. Yeah, it might not be in the world, maybe just in Florida.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know, but great idea. So I also mentioned that this was a massive place for Hollywood. Like, this is a massive filming location.
Massive, extreme.
It's huge. Like,
it's not like everything's been filmed there, but
No.
quite a lot has.
A lot has. And so it all started in the 1930s when Hollywood started to become popular, you know, movies and things. Bear in mind, there wasn't that many movies there back then.
True.
So the movies that were here were all 6 Tarzan films.
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
And then, but not only that, as it went on for at least like 20 years, there was like a bunch of movies. It was like, you know, the main place to film movies. So there's a lot of these that we don't know because we don't watch these old movies, but there's a few that I know, like Rebel Without a Cause, Distant Drums, you know, everyone knows James Bond, Moonraker. And The Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I'd like to go and watch that now. Now we've seen the actual spring that they filmed, I'd like to see that.
If you have seen these movies, not Moonraker, I think I feel like everyone's seen Moonraker, but yeah, if you've seen any of these old movies, let us know. See if you know them. Another one that the tour guide mentioned was a Tom Cruise movie, one of his first movies called Legend.
Yeah, he did say about that, yeah. He
So
jumped off a cliff or something, and there's no cliff there, so it was all CGI.
It was, but yeah, there was no cliff, but he did jump into Silver Springs.
Yes.
Up until around about the 1960s, there was literally 5,000 people a day would come here.
Gosh.
5,000 people a day.
That's insane.
It is insane. And it can get way higher than that on the weekends. There were amusement park rides, which you can see no remains of now, really. There was exotic wildlife, a reptile institute, and a bear exhibit.
That's kind of cool. Which
was one of the largest of its kind. Not only that, there was a little island on there, and as an attraction, they called it Monkey Island. So they put the monkeys on this island. And thought, brilliant, that's a great attraction, we can do a little boat tour around the Monkey Island and things. What they didn't realise was, and they didn't research this, the monkeys could swim.
Yeah.
And so literally within a week they had all escaped off this island.
Yep.
And nowadays, 80 years later, there are nearly 4,000 monkeys in Florida because of that, going all the way up to Jacksonville, which is about 5 hours from Ocala.
Yeah.
This is just all off the top of my head. All of this is off the top of my head. Okay, so then here's the bad news.
Oh.
So, yeah, in about the 70s, obviously, Disney World opened and SeaWorld opened and Universal Studios a little bit later. Killed it. No one went to Silver Springs anymore.
Oh.
I know. Another interesting reason of why Silver Springs may have failed is because the local state bought the surrounding areas to Silver Springs, and so they couldn't actually develop it anymore.
Okay.
So they had limited space. But then as it, you know, things went down and, you know, visitors like shrunk, and there's still a lot of visitors nowadays, but definitely not 5,000 a day probably. The Florida Park Service took control of the property, and so then they made that into what is now known as Silver Springs State Park, and so the whole lot is owned by the state. And here's a question for you, Natalie.
Yes.
Do you know why it's called the Silver River and Silver Springs State Park?
No.
Do you?
No, I don't.
Don't you? You weren't listening.
No.
So I heard this from the boat tour. The guy, Captain Bill, by the way, fantastic. It's because the limestone, there's little flecks of limestone, and all the old shells that come out from the springs make it look silver when the sun hits it.
Oh, okay, so, that kind of makes sense.
So when you look down, you can see it looks all silvery, and it's not. It's just from the shells and the limestone.
Fun fact. So my favourite part though, Lawrence, is the animals. We go there for the gators. We're pretty much guaranteed to see gators. Now on the short boat tour we did not see any alligators or manatees.
No, that was strange.
But we did see a lot of turtles and birds. And actually, Captain Bill, I'm stealing your idea. Every time we saw a bunch of turtles on a log, he was like, oh look, a shell station.
Every single time. Another shell station on the right hand side, guys.
But this time we did see alligators. We did see the Prince, the manatee, swimming around underneath the boat. We saw loads of... I didn't realise that it's the most significant population of limpkin, and I've only heard what a limpkin was recently. That was that brown bird with the white spots on it. But it's like heron size. It was big. And then we have the great white heron, we had the egrets, we had the ibis. I'm starting to... the anhingas, loads of anhingas there. Starting to gradually learn the names and remember them. I'm quite proud of myself.
It's cool. We're filming this in the beginning of February.
Yep.
And we saw everything. We saw the manatees, we saw the monkeys.
Oh yes.
We saw all of the birds you just mentioned.
Lots of fishies.
Lots of fish, lots of gators.
No otters today.
No otters. There are otters, and we have seen them there before.
We have,
but we didn't. So there are 30 springs with 61 vents in Silver Springs.
Yep.
You think it's just like the 2 or 3 that they show you, but there's not. There's way more. The largest one is Mammoth Springs. So this is where you can see the statues that were in Moonraker and a few movies.
And where the glass bottom boats take off from.
And that's where the glass... Yeah, exactly. And that is by far the biggest spring, which is why they call it Mammoth Spring. So that has a vent measuring 5 feet by 135 feet with a depth of 30 feet.
That's deep.
And it doesn't look that big when you go over there at all.
No.
But it is deep down there, and the whole spring is pretty deep. Obviously the water temperature is 72 all around, same as Crystal River. All of the springs in Florida are pretty much 72 degrees. Now here's the coolest facts. Right, the springs spew out 400 million gallons a day.
That's crazy.
And that doesn't make any sense to anyone when you hear that. You're like, oh, that sounds impressive. But that is 4 Olympic-sized swimming pools every 14 minutes.
Oh yeah, because didn't he say something about the water we see now isn't the same water we saw at the beginning?
When we came on. Yeah, exactly. So exactly my other point. I'm glad you found it interesting as well.
I did find that interesting.
So all of the water in the springs is replaced every 24 minutes.
That's crazy.
That is unbelievable, isn't it?
Yes.
But that's why it is so absolute crystal clear. It's actually something like a 97.8% purification rating as well.
And didn't he say that Nestle bottled Nestle?
It's either Nestle or Evian, something like that.
I think it was.
But yeah, they bottle the water, not in Silver Springs, but they obviously further on down the river, I assume. But yeah, which is interesting. So for that to replace all the water in 24 minutes, there is actually a current there, which is really difficult when you're kayaking or paddleboarding because the current is 4 miles an hour.
Yes.
And so you can go downriver, but you can't get back up. But they do offer a service where they will, if you rent their kayaks, they will do a shuttle service, so you only just need to float downriver.
But if you don't rent their kayaks, it's like $20, and I'm too cheap for that, so we just do the little river.
Exactly.
Little whatever, King's Loop it's called.
But it's not all about the river.
Nope.
So there's a bandstand there where they can do entertainment. There's a building you can rent out for weddings and things like that. There is a forest walk you can do. There's another little nature walk that you can do. So there's a bunch of stuff there. But really, if you go, we have done the short boat ride and the long boat ride, and we would absolutely recommend the long boat ride over the short one.
Agreed.
Short one's fantastic, but the long one really was worth it.
Yeah, I agree.
If you've been watching the RV show stuff, you'll know my parents are in town for a couple of months, over from the UK. So what did you think of Silver Springs?
It's absolutely amazing. The weather could not be better. It's sunny. Another amazing outing with Natalie and Lawrence. The boat trip was fantastic. Amazing views, good commentating.
Old man?
Absolutely amazing.
Yes, we were privileged to see a whole gaff of wildlife, right from manatees, monkeys, birds of all different kinds, alligators and turtles.
Oh, there were turtles everywhere.
Captain Bill was a great credit to them.
He was.
He was excellent.
And not forgetting the underwater sites that we also spotted. 3 statues.
There were 3 statues, and it was all in the movies. A bunch of different movie locations. Tom Cruise did a movie called Legend. Never seen it that I know of. There was Moonraker was filmed here. Another Bond movie, a bunch of other stuff as well, and obviously all the 6 Tarzan movies were filmed here.
Fantastic.
All right, so not one of our normal adventures, but you know, the boat was fantastic.
Yes, I loved it.
The Captain Bill was awesome.
He was.
We've done the shorter trip before. We did the longer one today, and we massively recommend doing that. It's about an hour and a half. It's like $20, something like that, and it's really good. They go all the way down the river,
Yeah.
do all the cool things. But anyway, love this place, Silver Springs State Park. In Florida, obviously.
Ocala.
And I was going to say, so the reason, if I haven't mentioned it before, I can't remember if I did, but the reason that Disney nearly killed this is because this was essentially the most touristy place in Florida.
Yeah.
Not only that, this was one of the main places where they actually brought goods and services in, but yes, it was the most touristy place in Florida until Disney, Universal and all of that came about. So
Took it over.
this was the original Disney. And then it nearly died. However, the state bought it. Oh, there's so much history. This is so cool. All right. Anyway, thank you for watching. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe. Share this video if you know anyone who might want to come to Silver Springs State Park or has been here. Don't forget to hit the thanks button because Natalie loves it when you do that. And you can hit the join button to become a Braziere and support a couple of tits. Thank you to everyone who already has. I'm trying to make this quick now because there is a band going on. There's like a festival going on here as well. There's lots of stuff here at Silver Springs. So anyway, thank you again. We'll see you next week.